Please welcome Colleen Reilly.
Thank you very much, Carol. Thanks, Bob and Jean. Hello, everyone. I know a few people here. I see some Pipits, and I see obviously my friend from high school and my parents and Jordy. This is fantastic. And I see some OFO people here as well. And now there's something on my screen. Sorry. So I'm going to share my screen. And go to this. Can you see? Okay, my Zoom is doing something weird. So Bob and Jean.
Yes.
Yep.
Am I frozen?
No, I see welcome to the Pipits. A picture of a Columbine.
Sorry, bear with me. It's doing something weird. Okay, you can see welcome to the Pipits.
Yes.
Okay, so do you guys have the window that has all the people's faces on it? No?
No, we're seeing the cover page. Welcome to the Pipits, a photographic journey with the Columbine to the left.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much for the introduction and welcoming me into your space. I really appreciate it. And today I'm going to talk about the beginnings and development of the group called the Pipits. So we're going to move back in time to June 2nd, 2019, which was an auspicious date in my world. It was the first day that the Sunday morning beginning birders came into being. And just to let you know, I'm actually an introvert. I used to be very shy. I wasn't a public speaker ever. I would take a 0 on an assignment in school rather than do any kind of public speaking at all. So bear with me today. That's a joke. This bear came from Carden last summer. The Pipits began under the unwieldy name Sunday Morning Beginning Birders. In 2019, I was working full-time. My son had activities on Saturdays that I took him to, but I had Sundays free to follow my interests. So I put a Google post out on a Google group, May 22nd, 2019. And I wanted to know if anyone was interested in joining me to go birding regularly on Sunday mornings. Right away, there was quite an interest, and within a week, I had a number of responses. Our first outing happened on June 2nd, and there were 6 people. We all had our guidebooks with us, and we worked collaboratively to identify what we were seeing, and we had a blast. I wasn't alone, it turns out, in wanting to meet up with folks with similar interests. So I continued suggesting new locations for weekly outings for Sunday mornings, and people kept coming out. Group size tended to be around 10 people. Within 4 months, I had over 50 members, and I was blown away by the level of interest. So at this point, I just want to express my gratitude to quite a few people and organizations for their support over the years. Although there's a tremendous knowledge base within the Pipits community members, I have to say that right from the start, there's been endless help available from outside the group to help me figure out where to go, because I didn't know the locations at all, what we might find in the habitat, to assist with guidance and learning around identifications, not just for birds, but plants, lichens, anything living. I can't speak about the Pipits without mentioning Chris Cheadle. Chris is a naturalist who brings the vast knowledge of broad scope about all things nature, and he's eager to share what he knows. He came out with us on a walk on Sunday, and it turns out he's excellent with children too. We had a youngster on our outing, and he was great with her. So he's someone who's come repeatedly to every year, basically, he's led at least one walk, if not more. He always brings new learning to the Pipits. Anyone who knows me knows I can't walk by a dog without asking to say hello. And I'm happy to report that Chris is the same. Yeah. I've been able to turn to him for information about locations to visit, identification questions, information about birding by sound, facts about anything alive since we started in 2019. I've so much appreciated the support over the years, and I just wanted to say thank you. So these photos were taken at Beverly Swamp Conservation Area and Fletcher Creek Conservation Area in Halton in July 2020. And here's what I think they are. Cylindrical thimbleweed, Peck's skipper, showy lady slipper, and obviously Chris Cheadle leading our watch. Let me know at the end of this if I got that flower wrong. Along the same lines, there's been much support for the development and growth of the Pipits from many members of the Hamilton Naturalist Club, as well as the Ontario Field Ornithologists. I'm not going to start naming names because for sure I'm going to leave someone off by accident. But I just want to say that since we've begun, there's been no end to the support from our friends, ranging from encouragement, promotion, education, as well as many individuals stepping forward to guest lead Pipit outings, often repeatedly over the years. So many thanks to all our friends in the birding community. You all are just so wonderful. This is Hamilton Nature. It's the website for the Hamilton Naturalist Club. And they actually include my outings in their calendar, which is so much appreciated. And then this is the Ontario Field Ornithologist website. And if you're not a member, I would suggest you check it out. It's ofo.ca. It's well worth it. They've got tons of outings and a lot of knowledge. So where did the name Pipits originate? Well, in 2019, we were at the Haldeman Bird Observatory doing some bird banding with Rick Ludkin. And he said the Sunday morning beginning birders was an unwieldy name, if you can imagine. So he suggested we change it to something easier to say. And he suggested the Pipits, which stuck. A little bit more about the Haldeman Bird Observatory. During fall migration in 2019, I heard about them through the Hamilton Naturalist Club. Rick at that time was running a bird banding operation out of the historic site in Cayuga called Ruthven. So I spoke with him and obtained permission to bring a small group of Pipits to Ruthven over a period of several weeks during fall migration, so we could watch and learn and possibly even get some hands-on experience with banding. Haldeman Bird Observatory started in 1995, and their purpose was multifold. But one of the things that was important to them was increasing interest in conservation among the public, which is my interest as well. And this is Rick. He's got a wonderful way of incorporating people into his operations so they get a hands-on experience with conducting data collection on wild birds. He encourages youngsters to participate, and many exceptional adult birders found their early beginnings in this work with Rick. So there's a brown-headed cowbird, and I think it was previously banded, and they're reading the band. William, I think you're in the audience tonight. This experience was so wonderful for my Pipit members, and you can tell by William's face there, everyone had delight every time we were there. They were able to get up close and personal and build knowledge, as well as contribute to conservation efforts. We've continued to have involvement with HBO over the years. It was a bit complicated through COVID, obviously, but we've helped to establish a new banding location in Cayuga at the farm. We've done several birdathons raising funds for HBO. And we've got several upcoming dates where we'll be participating in the spring banding. I can't wait. Early on in the history of the Pipits, one of our local birders here, Paul Riss, offered to make a logo for us. This is an image of his storefront, PRBY Apparel on Redbubble. He's got an amazing array of art, including the Lewis's woodpecker from Manitoulin, Merriweather. You can now buy t-shirts and other things with that image on them. So this is a bit of information about Paul Riss, some information about his birding background and also his business background. And I would suggest checking out his website because his work is phenomenal. If you haven't seen the CBC documentary Rare Bird Alert, I would suggest checking it out. It's available on CBC Docs POV and it's streaming on CBC Gem. This is a post Paul made to Facebook about a year ago about my group, the Pipits. He drew on the concept that the intent of the Pipits is to be inclusive to everyone. So basically, my goal is to create a community with an atmosphere that is welcoming and encourages curiosity, a love of discovery and learning about nature, and have it be a safe place for people to not know the answers and to have differences along any lines. And I think it's been successful in this. That's our logo, created in 2019. Every year I ran an annual t-shirt order, which was a bit cumbersome as I didn't have a budget. I wasn't able to purchase any extras, so people that wanted t-shirts throughout the years weren't able to get them. But Paul now hosts this on his Redbubble site, on his shop, PRBY Apparel. So you can get Pipits merch, ranging from pins and stickers to cups and mugs and t-shirts and hats. I very much appreciate Paul's ongoing support for this very special group. So, other than holding a lifelong interest in nature and in birds and having birded for several years in the 90s, I hadn't been involved in birding until about 2018. I certainly don't bring expertise or a wealth of knowledge to share, but what I do have is a strong level of curiosity, a drive to connect with others, an ability to network with more experienced naturalists, and lots of luck. I used these characteristics to learn where to go locally as well as further afield, to invite guest leaders to join our walks, and to call on those more in the know about identifications. And I always emphasize to my group members that my role is to be a coordinator. I take photographs, I try to share them in reports after each outing, and that's my role. The group itself has a collective pool of knowledge and curiosity that we bring to the task of identification. We learn together from each other and from our interest and awareness of the natural world. And I have to say, like with every outing, people have a good time. It doesn't matter what we see, it's just people coming together to connect with each other and with nature, and it's always fun. And this obviously is how I identify birds, as birds. As time progressed, the group grew and evolved and developed dynamics and a sort of personality. Issues came to my attention from time to time, either through awareness of undercurrents in the birding world, or through recognition of issues internal to the group. I've created a few guiding policies and have utilized pre-existing policies developed by other organizations. So we have policies on ethical birding guidelines that I borrowed from the Ontario Field Ornithologists, the American Birding Association, and eBird's Sensitive Species Policy. So these are our guiding principles. We have a land acknowledgement that I try to remember to do at the beginning of every outing. And Dr. Leanne Greaves with the Society of Canadian Ornithologists EDI Committee gave me some information about why we do land acknowledgements. And I'm going to read it because it's beautiful. Recognizing the land is an expression of gratitude and appreciation to those whose territory we reside on, and a way of honoring the Indigenous people who have been living and working on the land from time immemorial. Giving a land acknowledgement creates an opportunity to appreciate the unique role and relationship that each of us have had with the land, or that each of us has with the land, and reminds us to consider the long-standing rich history of the land and our privileged role in residing here. Colonialism is a current ongoing process, and we need to be mindful of our present participation in it. It is also worth noting that acknowledging the land is Indigenous protocol. I'm aware that I have members that don't want to be photographed. The group is a safe place for everyone, and so we respect that. At the start of outings, I try to remember to remind people that if they're going to take photographs that are candid, to check with the subjects and see if they're comfortable being in the pictures. I always do a group photo for every outing, and so people that don't want to be included end up being the photographer. In 2021, there were reports of sexual assaults in the birding community, and I became aware that some of my women members experience fear about their safety when birding. I wanted to have this issue out in the open, and I made this policy. It's not really specific to sexual assault of women. It's intended to reflect the fact that everyone has the right to feel safe while birding. And the way I approach it, I want it to be an open discussion. I don't want it to be hushed. I want my members to feel free to be themselves, to be respected, to feel safe, and to know that anything other than this is going to be addressed by me directly. One of the features I've tried to include with Pipit membership are trip reports, including photographs I take during outings. So I take candid shots to try to capture the essence of each outing. I take identification photos of the various birds and other living creatures that we see. And I do try to develop trip reports to share these in our eBird list, as well as an outing summary. However, of late, I've been struggling to complete these reports because I have like a backlog of a year of photographs that need to be edited. One of the aspects that I really value about the Pipits is the learning and knowledge sharing component. And I try hard to contribute something to this process, even though I'm not an expert. So this is my website. This is the trip reports that I've produced on the website. I'm currently revising how I approach these. I'm thinking that maybe I'll just amalgamate various trips into a less frequent newsletter. This group is it's a continuing evolution. That's the camera I used to have when I started the group. I had a short lens. That changed pretty quickly. I now have a longer lens, which has been quite a learning curve. And although I am a photographer, I don't have a great handle on the technical issues. And I'll just apologize now to my dad, but I really could not tell you what f-stop means to save my life. Sorry, Dad. This is what I carry now, a Canon 90D camera body with a 60 to 600 millimeter Sigma lens. It's not as sharp as a Canon lens would be probably, but like everything I do, it's good enough. It works for now anyhow, and it's just a constant evolution here. A few years ago, I also purchased a Swarovski scope to share with my Pipits, and I now use Swarovski binos as well, which make a difference. Unfortunately, my two kids are a bit thinner and have had to learn how to forage. But you can't go wrong with good optics. It's been almost 4 years now since the Pipits first began. A year ago, I created a Pipits website, which has been very helpful in decreasing administrative demands by automating things. But unfortunately, the cost was over the top. So I've now migrated to a new website. And Joe Kirby deserves some mention here. He's the man who redesigned my website, and he's handling the migration. He's done really well. Thank you so much. This is his website. Members who attend outings now pay a membership fee. Those who participate just through the online medium receive free membership. Unfortunately, there are administrative costs to running the group, and fees became necessary. After a few years of running the group as a fully volunteer-led group, I realized I was running groups much more frequently, typically weekly, than any of the naturalist clubs that I knew. And I found out that they all had liability insurance. So I needed to get liability insurance as well, and I needed to get a website, which necessitated fees. Over 2 years, the last 2 years, I've maintained a membership of at least 50 paying members with a current contact list of almost 200 people. I now do an introductory circle at the start of each outing where we introduce ourselves. I usually joke around with the members and say, you know, if you want to do a skit or a song and dance, that would be appropriate. New members get this look on their faces. It's really quite fun. I welcome the new members after I tell them I'm joking, make announcements, and I've been doing land acknowledgements as well. So the group has become more formalized than it was in the beginning, but I still think it's a safe and warm, welcoming place for members. I thought I'd share some photographs from one of my most favorite Pipit outings. Actually, from a couple of my most favorite Pipit outings. This one's our winter 2022 Algonquin trip. I usually make a trip up to Algonquin to celebrate my birthday in the winter. Last year, as well as this year, a group of Pipits came with me. And they pooled donations and surprised me with it during the introduction circle of our outing in 2022. So I now have a Pipits license plate, thanks to them. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Dave Archbell, who coordinated the whole thing. Thank you so much. Some of the birds that we saw in this outing were American tree sparrow, black-backed woodpecker, Canada jay. The cool thing about the Canada jays in Algonquin is that they're color banded by researchers, and you can actually get a hold of the chart that they have that represents all the different birds that they've banded. You can identify them by the color of banding on their legs and find out who's paired up with who and who had what kids, where their nests tend to be located. It's pretty interesting. Common raven. There's ravens in the park that act like puppies. They'll come right up and land on the ground beside you thinking that they're going to be fed, unfortunately, but they follow people around like puppies. It's very entertaining. Common redpoll. Hoary redpoll. This is common versus hoary. Evening grosbeak. Pine grosbeak, male and female, so pretty. I just saw them for the first time last year. These are pine siskins. What they're doing is a courtship behavior. I submitted this photo to the 2022 Audubon Photography Awards, and they reviewed it and selected it to be part of their behavior gallery. And this explanation is what they posted with it. So it turns out with siskins, because they're very social, they do this kind of courtship behavior at any time of the year. And it's thought that it's done to promote cohesion within the flock. So it doesn't necessarily involve a male and female. It could be two males or two females, and it doesn't always involve food. Here's a purple finch. A female spruce grouse. And then a pretty fancy male spruce grouse putting on a display for her. This bird actually was so calm with our presence that he flew at our heads repeatedly. It was pretty funny. This is the other trip I was going to talk about. This is Cardin alvar. So an alvar, in case you don't know, is a kind of grassland habitat only found in a few spots in Ontario. This photo is by David Hawk. Alvar is characterized by thin soil and sparse vegetation on top of a limestone bedrock with poor drainage. All of this makes it a harsh environment that supports unique assemblages of species, many of which are identified as provincially and or nationally rare. If you haven't been to the Cardin, it's near Orillia, it's east of Orillia. When you're driving there, you're going to head probably to Reilly Road, and you're going to want a car with lots of clearance because there's holes in the road that are bigger than your car. This is at a nearby, this isn't on Reilly Road, this is Prospect Marsh at dawn last April. Here's a kingfisher in the early morning light. And a porcupine. I did not know porcupines go up in trees. It's interesting. You can actually see, I think, some of the marks where it might have chewed the tree. So that could be lichen. I don't know. A red-winged blackbird showing how cold it was that morning. American bittern. Not to be confused with a bald eagle. This is a golden eagle with a raven. This is from May last spring in Cardin as well. Wilson's snipe in the rain. One of the iconic Cardin alvar pictures, the snipe on the post. A pair of bluebirds. Another bluebird. You cannot mention Cardin alvar without mentioning the cows. I've learned that if they're in the field and you go up and talk to them, they all come over to say hello, and it's so cute. They're just sweet. This is a field with painted cut paintbrush and prairie smoke. And this lines the roads in the spring. It's amazing. You see it going forever off into the distance. There's more prairie smoke. And the forested areas along Reilly Road are carpeted with trilliums. This is a golden-winged warbler. They nest up there, I believe. And this is a Brewster's warbler. It's a cross between a blue-winged warbler and a golden-winged warbler. And I think one of the concerns is that the blue-winged warbler's range is expanding and hybridizing with the golden-winged, reducing the actual numbers of golden-winged warblers. But correct me if I'm wrong. Here's a chestnut-sided warbler. An upland sandpiper singing. I love the patterns on its side. And a bobolink. So, in my mind, the most important thing about the Pipits is the atmosphere of welcome and acceptance. To foster this, you don't have to be a perfect leader. You just have to be human and present authentically, limitations and all. I'm not the most socially adept person, as I have an invisible disability. I have autism, which in the past was called Asperger's syndrome, that can make it challenging to read and follow social norms. I also have lifelong acquaintance with severe and chronic depression and anxiety and complex trauma. So why am I telling you these very private details about me? Because I challenge the myths and stereotypes that society holds on to so tightly. Here you can see a list of ways people can fight the stigma society holds towards people with mental illness and invisible disabilities. This has been put forward by the Center for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto, KMH. I'm speaking about point number 4, educate, pass on facts, challenge myths and stereotypes. My 14-year-old son, Maxwell, and I talked about this presentation, and he asked what stereotypes, what it means. And after a bit of a debate, I suggested that these are fixed impressions that people have of others that fit into various categories. They're based on ignorance or on a lack of information and knowledge. That it's going to take people like me to have a voice now, for all the days I didn't, for all the others who haven't found theirs, and for those who haven't been heard. We will see these stereotypes corrected by the truth spoken by individuals, people like so many of us, in my case by a woman on spectrum with mental illness and a trauma history. I probably don't present to you like you would have expected me to behave if I had told you these details before I started speaking. I hope my voice has helped you to develop a more accurate view of how autism, mental illness, and trauma present. I'm very open about my experience. I know I'm not alone. And whoever hears this and has it resonate with them, you're not alone. I'm happy to speak with anyone about these topics after the presentation or by email. You can reach out to me from thepipits.com. The most freeing discovery of my life was that my members have always taken me as I am. There's so much joy and curiosity and support in the Pipits community. I've never once experienced my differences as anything appreciable while with these people. I am geographically challenged, as most of my members know. I often get disoriented even when my phone apps are running with a map. My members step in and together we figure out the journey on our trips. They keep me on track. Despite my challenges, my anxieties, my lack of knowledge, somehow people appear to be drawn to joining our trips. And interestingly, I have shifted from being quite a shy, introverted person to being the person that goes up to groups of unknown birders and joins in. Developing this beautiful community has been life-altering. I so appreciate all the people that have walked along this journey with me. Thank you, my friends. This was already mentioned, I think, in the introduction. These are the awards that I've received for the Pipits. In 2019, I was floored to be nominated for the Junior Volunteer of the Year by Hamilton Naturalist Club. And in 2021, I received the OFO's Certificate of Appreciation for my Pipits group. Thanks to my dear friend Angelique for nominating me for this. About a year ago, I became an Ontario Field Ornithologist Board member as a director at large. I'm involved in the EDI committee and field trip planning, and it's just so wonderful to be involved with these esteemed birders. I just wanted to say thank you very much for the opportunity to speak for you. And anyone with questions or comments, I'm happy to hear them.
Well, thanks very much, Colleen. That was a wonderful presentation with great photos and important messaging. We're very thankful, you, Jean and I, that you were on the OFO outing during the convention at Ojibwe Park, and we ran into you and got to know you, and you gave us your card, and that was such a wonderful day. And then again tonight, a wonderful presentation. But before I go on, does anyone have any questions for Colleen? Don't forget to unmute yourself if you do have a question. Well, did you see that? Winlar just said you are an inspiration in so many ways. That's
lovely. Thank you.
Colleen, how did you get to be such a great photographer? This is Jack Alvo. I'm jealous.
Hi, Jack. Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you.
And you know the trick, right? You take 1 million photographs and maybe one turns out.
Oh, maybe I need to take 2 million because that hasn't worked for me so far.
Well, I'll wait to see your presentation, sir.
Okay, the challenge is on.
Right.
And I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
It's Phyllis. I met Colleen when she came up twice to see the Lewises, and I was just so drawn to her and to, I don't know, she just has this open, welcoming personality. And then we got to chatting later and realized we shared some similar problems. I've gone through significant depression and some trauma in my life. And I just think it's so wonderful that you share this openly, because it is the only way to get rid of the stigma. And we all need to realize that we're not alone when we're in that dark place. And nature is, I have found, I'm not a birder, I'm a backyard birder, but I do love nature, and I love all the little creatures that you find outside. And they're just, I don't know, they speak to your soul, they're healing. So I found it so wonderful to meet people in this birding community, because they all share that passion for nature, and it's such a wonderful thing that draws people together. So I thank you, Colleen, for speaking openly about this and for the work that you've done with your group. I think it's amazing.
Thank you, Phyllis. We're kindred spirits.
Yeah.
I'll see you when I'm up there in April.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I actually have a question for you, Colleen. So the Pipits are not associated with the Hamilton Naturalists Club. This is more to do with the insurance, because
yeah, so I'm kind of affiliated with them. I was a member of Hamilton Naturalist Clubs, and I draw on a number of their members for guest leading outings for me. But no, I am not part of Hamilton Naturalist Club. I'm a separate, single person run organization.
All right. And you mentioned Paul Riss. That's Jean and I met him at the convention a few years ago, the OFO convention. We both have his t-shirts.
Wonderful.
Yeah, with the bird banding code. I have a swallowtail kite t-shirt, and Jean has a gray catbird t-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, so-
I have a drawer packed full of his t-shirts.
Oh, yeah. I've worn mine it's almost dead, but it's got a hole in it and but
Oh,
it's so soft and nice. I don't want to get rid of it.
time to go shopping.
Yeah.
Yes. And I also joined his project, that Birder Battle, too. So,
Birder Battle.
Oh,
so if anyone
So
wants to
Birder-
challenge, go ahead.
Yeah. Birder Battle is an app. It's a gaming app that was created between Paul and I think he's got a partner. Do you know more about it, Bob?
Yeah, he's working with someone on that, a partner on that, and it's basically, as Colleen was saying, it's an app, and then someone either challenge someone that's on that app, or they'll challenge you, and you get a bingo card, and you just have to look for those birds and get all the birds before that person that challenges you gets all the birds.
ah.
It's fun.
And it's full of his artwork.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But we did see the CBC presentation. Well, we enjoyed that. But
It's a great
someone-
movie.
Yeah, it was really well done, and we weren't. I think we knew about it was coming on, but then some fellow we ran into on the Green Ribbon Trail in St. Catharines reminded us of it. So because he was going to watch it, said, "Oh yeah, we got to watch that." So we, I think we set it to record in case we missed it, but we did get to watch it. So that was a well done presentation, or
Mhm.
documentary, I should say.
Yeah, it was good.
And congratulations on your lifer pine grosbeak.
Thank you. Yeah, they're beautiful.
We
Hi,
still have
Colleen.
Yeah, we haven't seen one in Ontario yet, but that's one of our one of our wishes.
Come to Algonquin with me next winter. Hi, Elspeth.
Hi, Colleen. I just wanted to say a thank you. You've been a great mama pipit. I was a pipit from the beginning, and you've been a
Yes, you
wonderful
were.
mama. Been a wonderful mama pipit, and I think what I most appreciated when I started out, anyhow, was we'd have a great day, always did, and then we'd come back as a group, and then next thing you would have a wonderful display of photographs available to all of us to look at. My camera was smaller than yours, I recall. So to have a wonderful photographs to look at, and they're still there for us to look at, it's been absolutely wonderful. So just wanted to thank you for all the pleasure that you've brought myself and brought others I know.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to having you out again.
Yep, as soon as I can.
Yep. We'll see you when you can.
Yeah.
Thank you.